Hello and welcome to this painting video. In this video we'll be showing you how to paint an Orlok Outrider quad from the Necromunda Ashwaste box set up to battle ready. Now before we begin we need to undercoat our model. As you can see here we've done them separately, so we've done the quad bike in Lead Belcher and the rider in Chaos Black, and now we can start with our first colours. The first colours that we'll be using is Abaddon Black for the body panels and the tyres, Rhinox Hide for the leather details, and Corn Red for the red details. So let's get on with the Abaddon Black. So we're going to just dip some out of the pot lid, we're going to pop it on the palette, just a tiny little bit more, and we're going to water it down with a touch of water, just so it's a little bit smoother, and we'll get a good amount on our paintbrush. Now we're going to start applying it to the front panels on here, avoiding any Lead Belcher areas that we want to keep for the suspension, and don't forget to do the tyres. Now that our black details are now dry, we're going to move on to Rhinox Hide. We're going to apply them on any of the saddlebags and straps, and if you do get any Rhinox Hide on any of the silver details, don't worry, you can tidy that back up with any Lead Belcher. Now that our Rhinox Hide is now dry, we can move on to the Corn Red, and for this we'll be using it to make a stripe down the middle of the front of the vehicle. Don't forget to do the suspension rods as well. Now that all our base coats are dry, we can move on to covering the entire model with Ballast Silicon and Grey thinned down with Contrast Medium. So I'm going to take 1 part Contrast Medium, pop it on the palette, and then we're going to wash off our brush and dry it. And then we're going to take 1 part Ballast Silicon and Grey, and we're going to just mix it in very well, just to thin it down slightly before applying it to all of our model. So I want to cover the model entirely, getting all of the brown, the red areas, and all of the metal work. Don't worry if you feel like you got too much on, you can clean off your brush and then take some of the excess off. Now that our quad is finished, we can move on to the rider. For this we'll be using Lead Belcher for the metalwork, Rhinox Hide for the leather, Thunderhawk Blue for the undershirt, Corvus Black for the black details, and Corax White for the skin. So let's get on with that Lead Belcher. I'm just going to take it out of the pot. I'm going to apply some just to the palette here, get a little touch more. I'm just going to thin it down with a little bit of water just to make it a nicer, smoother consistency. And now we're going to start applying it to our model. So I'm just going to start applying it to the gun. I'm going to put it on anywhere else that looks like metal, such as the gas mask and the belt buckle and the pedals of the bike. Now that our Lead Belcher is now dry, we can move on to the brown details with some Rhinox Hide. Remember that you can use it also for any hair, and if you do get some Rhinox Hide and any of the metalwork, don't worry, you can go back over when it's dry. Now that our Rhinox Hide is now dry, we can move on to the Thunderhawk Blue, and we're going to put this on the shirt and the sleeves. And you may need a couple of coats. Now our Thunderhawk Blue is now dry, we can move on to the Corvus Black, and we'll be using this on the trousers and any of the jackets. Now that our Corvus Black is now dry, we can move on to our Corax White, and I've just thinned it down with a tiny bit of water just so we can get it onto our skin and get a nice smooth finish. You may find that you need a couple of coats. Now that the base coats of our rider are now dry, we can move on to the shades and contrasts. For these we'll be using Nuln Oil on the metalwork and the leather, Griff Charger Grey on the undershirts, and Gilliman Flesh for the skin. So let's get on with that Nuln Oil. So we're going to just take it out of the pot, and we're going to use it straight from the pot, so we don't need to thin it down. Just going to make sure that we get a good amount on our brush. Now we can start applying it to all of the metalwork, all of the black as well if you want to get it a little bit darker, and onto all of those brown leather areas. Now that our non-oil is now dry, we can move on to some Griffcharger grey, and we're going to just use that over the Thunderhawk blue shirts. And remember just to get those sleeves as well. Now that Griffcharger grey is now dry, we can move on to the Gilliman flesh. We're going to apply that on top of all of the Corax white. So we've got some on the forehead here, and then we've got on our forearms, and don't forget to do the fingers. And with our shades dry, as you can see, I've glued the crew onto the quad. And there you have it, our Orlok Outrider quad is now battle ready for the dangerous ash wastes. Remember to keep your base coats nice and smooth, and don't overload your brushes when using shades and contrasts. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy painting your own Orlok models, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye!